Good morning, it's Phil Thatch, and this morning we are at a park in Dayton, hanging out with Ron over there. He's shooting some wildlife, and Heather is over there on the other side of that gazebo. She's framing up a shot of a really cool tree that's out in the middle of the lake. I made a couple of shots just handheld of it, and there is a green heron out in the lake with some fog below it that looks really cool. So we're going to work on that. Okay, I think Heather got her shot of the tree, so let's take a look at that now. Here is Heather's landscape photography photo of this tree. We were actually looking for a place to do landscape photography, and we were driving around, and Heather saw this tree and said, oh, I have to get a shot of that. And she made this shot at 400 millimeters, and if you look closely, there's a belted kingfisher in the top of the tree, and you can see the fog on the lake, and it's just a really cool scene, and Heather captured it well. And also at the same time as Heather was working on her tree shot, there was a green heron just a little ways out here, and I sat down on the ground. You can actually see where the grass is kind of matted. I sat down here and held the camera as low as I could right next to the water and made a shot of the green heron across there. Let's take a look at that. I was really happy with this capture of this green heron because usually when I photograph birds in water, be it ducks or whatever, I don't get my camera down low enough, and this time I finally made a shot of a water bird with the camera right next to the water, and you can see the thin layer of fog is up above the bird. So I thought that turned out really cool, and I was very happy to have this opportunity to get down low on this green heron. We're still hanging around here in Dayton. There are some migratory great egret here, and right here where this grass meets the water, one of them was feeding. We got a couple of reflection shots, and then we adjusted our, for a white bird like that, you kind of need to be about one stop underexposed. And then we took some other pictures, and right then he took off and flew right past us. Heather and I both got shots of it, and so did Ron, who's hanging out with us. Say hi, Ron.
Hey everybody.
But mine are way overexposed, and so are Heather's. Ron's look pretty good. Here is that great egret in the tall grass on the shoreline doing some feeding, and you can see some reflection in this shot, so it's pretty cool. And here are 4 of my shots of that same great egret as it was flying by, and you can see them at 324 millimeters here, and now I've zoomed even closer to 300 millimeters, and these were overexposed. These were showing blinkies on the back of the camera, but I was able to use the raw files. I used the compressed raw files and save it to where it did not look overexposed in my final edit. And here is the 4th shot of mine, and Heather got a shot of it as well. She was shooting at 1/800th of a second. I was at 1/500th. And here is a domesticated duck that was swimming on the shoreline. I thought the reflections in the water looked pretty nice, so I made this photo. We're seeing all sorts of birds and things around here, kingfishers and kingbirds, and Heather is still working on her tree that she discovered.
They're trying to catch that.
Yeah, there's kingbirds right here flying around trying to catch flies because they're flycatchers. Here is Heather's second and final photograph of that beautiful tree in the middle of the water, and she liked this one because she found some foreground bokeh to have in the photo. And she also made a photograph of this duck that was kind of resting in the grass beside the lake. And I made this photograph of a double-crested cormorant who was sunning itself on this branch sticking up out of the water across the way. And here are a couple of photographs of one of those eastern kingbirds that was standing on the back of a park bench. Just a couple of different poses for you of the same bird on the same bench. And this may be the same bird, or it may be one of the other kingbirds that was flying around, but this one has a bug in its mouth because it is a flycatcher. Every time we think, well, we're done, there's nothing else to see here, another bird will fly up. We saw the pileated woodpecker. We were so happy to see this pileated woodpecker. It looks like a male. The stripe on its cheek is red, which indicates a male. In this first shot, I had to crop a whole lot. In this next shot, I had switched over to the 800 millimeter for all of these. I didn't have to crop this one hardly at all. It got a little bit closer to us. And here is my 3rd photograph of the male pileated woodpecker in the tree. And Heather, who was still using the 500 millimeter lens, got a couple of shots as well. In this shot, it looks like he's just about to blink. And then here is another photograph that Heather made. I love this pose and the way the sun is shining on its hair. It looks like it's on fire. Just a beautiful bird, the pileated woodpecker. And then an Osprey came and did a bunch of dives. I've got the 800 on now, but it was way out past Heather's tree, so probably didn't get any good shots of that. And then the Kingbirds keep coming up and landing close to us. Every once in a while we'll get a shot with pretty good sun angle. So anyway, we're having a lot of fun here in Dayton this morning. I had the 800mm lens on and I couldn't get the mom and the babies, so I just got the babies in my shot. And here is my shot of the eastern kingbird there on a power line. And look at this terrible Osprey photo with the 800mm lens from so far away and heavily cropped. I made a lot of photos and that was the only one even close to acceptable, even though it's not acceptable. Here is a kingbird on more like a telephone or a cable TV wire. One shot with its mouth closed and one with its mouth open. And here are Heather's shots. She got, because she was using the 500 lens, she got the mother and the babies. And look at this amazingly sharp shot that she got of the kingbird on the telephone wire with the beautifully bokeh-fied background. And here is a kingbird that was sitting on the wire, and all of a sudden it coughed up this berry just out of the blue, and she caught it in midair. And another shot of the mama and the baby ducks as they were swimming by. Heather also made this beautiful photograph of the eastern kingbird in a tree, and she made a couple of photographs of the kingbirds that really like to come and sit down on the back of this park bench. She got one facing in one direction and this beautiful shot facing in the other direction, and then she made a photograph of this dork with a really big camera there in the park. What a fun morning we had here at this park in Dayton, but it's getting a little bit too warm and a little bit too late in the day. The light's getting worse and worse, and even though we're still seeing birds, we're still seeing kingbirds and kingfisher. Every once in a while we hear a pileated. We are going to call it a morning. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Subscribe, hit the bell, thumbs up, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.